Alright, what's up, guys? So, IGN has uploaded the review for Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. I already know this game's gonna have some fanboys defending it, because I already done seen it. People defending it on Twitter. I had people defending it in my comment sections, like from the videos I've done criticizing it. But yeah, it's like people have been trying to say like, oh, it's like, cause the last thing people were talking on that I had talked about with this game is the prices of the car. And I ain't never seen no Corvette costing no $900,000 to $1,000,000. I don't care if it's in. And the funny thing is that I looked it up that, like, you know, the prices of cars in Hong Kong. Ain't no Corvette costing no $900,000 out there. But my thing is this: if so, send me the website. That's why I want people, because it's like people, they just go based on their word. Like, oh yeah, in Hong Kong it's different out there. No, it's not. It ain't different nowhere. You charging that? I'm pretty sure that Chevrolet has you sign some contract that if you're going to sell their cars, you have to sell it at this price. You can't overdo it. You can't underdo it unless it's used or it's like some special edition. But I'm talking about a standard Corvette, whether it's like what's the like lowest end, like the lower end Corvettes all the way to the higher end Corvettes. Ain't no Corvette gonna be costing no 900,000 to over $1,000,000. And then they talking about, oh yeah, then it's like 10-12 million for like a Bugatti. I'm like, no, that's robbery if anything's. And people are all like, oh yeah, you gotta like just play the game and do it. How am I? My thing is this: if I'm not winning races, how am I gonna buy these cars? They have it where it's like you got these overpowered AIs where they can hit turns no problem. Meanwhile, me, I feel like I'm driving a Greyhound bus. Like, look, you want to defend this game, you very well can, but I am going to see issues with this game. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into this review video, see what's going to be said. Make sure if you guys haven't, go subscribe to IGN. Probably going to be a little critical in this video, but anyways.
Nearly 10 years
it's a nice looking game, but it just has issues.
ago, former Need for Speed developer Ghost Games copped a kicking for making its 2015 series reboot online only, even in single player.
Yeah.
In response, its 2019 follow-up, Need for Speed Heat, did not require a persistent online connection. Earlier this year, Ubisoft decommissioned the crew, making it impossible for owners to play from now on, even by themselves. The move wasn't received well. This very week, Ubisoft has confirmed the Crew 2 and the Crew Motorfest will now get offline modes.
Yep.
In contrast to these course corrections, Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown arrives in 2024 as another online-only racing game that seems
so
to
weird
have
how
little
they're
interest in
doing
being
that.
something that's satisfying to play solo.
That's just something where I just don't get, because I just remember when I played Destiny for the first time. And I guess it didn't really dawn to me, because I think that was like the first online only game that I played. So it didn't really dawn to me that it was going to be an issue. But yeah, it's like I'm playing that game, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, connecting to Destiny servers, and then just out of nowhere, it just shuts me out the game. And I'm thinking to myself, fam, I'm playing the game by myself. I'm not even playing it with other people. Yeah, if I'm doing the strike missions and stuff like that, but I just find it weird how it's like that's a thing now with video games where it has to be online only and you can't just play the game just by yourself. So but it's like, it's crazy how like now you try playing like something like Destiny and they be having these connection issues. That's why I'm like, look, if you need to come out with NPCs to just simulate how it would be playing online, do that. But it doesn't need to be a strictly online only game.
A baffling start, and despite a nice handling model and a lot of effort on display in its unique open world,
my thing is this: all the cars handle the same, all right? So I guess, like, yeah, if you're looking at it like that, then yeah, cool. But how I look at it, a Corvette a Mustang shouldn't feel like a Lamborghini, and a Lamborghini shouldn't feel like a Land Rover. All those cars should feel unique and different. So in my opinion, I wouldn't say that it's nice with the handling. I'm like, it shouldn't, because I did a video showing how like the turning is, and it's like when you turn, it's just the steering wheel is barely turning. So I'm like, fam, and that's when you're like slowing down trying to hit a turn. I'm not trying to turn doing no 200 miles per hour. I'm slowing down so I can hit a turn, and still can't turn.
Unfortunately, doesn't get any better.
Like driving straight, if it was just drag races, cool, but other than that, nah.
The original Test Drive Unlimited was a pioneer of MMO open world racing. It was the pioneer, really, and remarkably ahead of its time. However, despite being fondly remembered for its trend-setting online philosophy, 2006's Test Drive Unlimited still had a dedicated single-player mode, one that remains accessible and playable offline today. It simply layered its multiplayer mode over the top of it.
It looked nice.
The always online Solar Crown is not built like this, and it's infinitely poorer for it. There are AI opponents, but there's no dedicated single-player mode to speak of, just a map full of events that other players may or may not hop into at the same time as you. During my time with it, another player joining my race has actually been an extremely rare occurrence. But the threat of it is always there, because there's no way to opt out.
And that's the thing that I don't think they realize is like people, because I just remember the times when I would play Grand Theft Auto Online and do the racing events. You got people that's like, if you're doing a lap race, you got somebody that's turning their car around and they're driving in the opposite direction trying to hit you and stuff. That's why I don't like playing online, because people don't be playing correctly. So that's why I'm like, fam, make it offline too.
This puts Solar Crown in a very weird place. It means that even though my experience has almost exclusively been competing solo against the AI, I'm still burdened by all the foibles of online racing. This means lobby countdowns I can't fully skip before starting a race, even though I don't want to wait for anybody else and wish to start by myself. It means races I can't even pause, which is an absurd problem to have when playing entirely against AI.
And that's the thing where I'm like, fam, I can think of it as like where if, let's say, you gotta like go and do something real quick. Like, let's say if you're making yourself something to eat, you just want to pause the race, come back to it, and then finish it. You can't do that. So that's why I'm like, fam, you playing it by yourself, you should be able to pause the game.
Brutally contemptuous of parents and anybody else with the audacity to ever need to stop what they're doing for a moment. It also means racers don't even have a simple quick restart option. To restart, you need to abandon the race entirely, re-enter the event, and sit through the same lobby period. Even when you're the only human in an event, if there's a connectivity issue during your race, you'll be kicked out.
And this happens.
If there's a problem in free roam, you'll be kicked out to the menu screen.
Wow.
Hell, if there's some sort of server maintenance or technical snag when you boot up, you won't be able to play at all. In my most recent session, I haven't been able to play for more than a few minutes at a time before being kicked out. Every online
no, hold on for a second. See how you have to turn in that game? You can't just like go across the drive the road and spin your car and then continue on going. You have to like turn at a way where it's like, it's because I feel like if he were to use the road to turn, the car ain't gonna he's gonna crash into a wall.
But
look how he has to turn. He has to cut through that just to turn.
At a time
That's not good control.
Being kicked out. Every online-only requirement
Maybe he
feels
just
like
did that,
a punishment
still,
for playing it by yourself.
That's how you have to drive.
You don't want to play with other people? Too bad. You're online anyway. Unfortunately, the racing itself is not strong enough to make these online quality of life sacrifices worthwhile. At its best, on Solar Crown's most well-plotted race routes, the racing is fine. At its worst, however, it's tedious and unsatisfying. The AI opponents are a constant sore point, and they undermine the experience by being rubbish in some conditions and supernaturally gifted in others. Solar Crown features a handful of named difficulty levels for its AI opponents, but unlike other racing games, it does not let us manually select their strength. This means Solar Crown automatically bumps up the difficulty as we progress. The spike, however, from experienced to expert is hideously ill-executed, so your reward for good performances against the experienced opposition is simply a bad time. Now, I should stress that you don't actually need to win, or even podium in Solar Crown's races to earn credits. There is, however, a list of secondary objectives that regularly do require you to be at the pointy end in specific events. This can be daunting against rival racers who, on some courses, will simply gallop away from you in cars that ostensibly have the same performance level as yours, recording race times that can be faster than the quickest human players on the current global leaderboards.
That's crazy.
I finished one event and the AI We're nearly 10 seconds faster than any person has completed this
And that's
race so
normal,
far.
right?
This is a ridiculous problem to have, and it's one you can't solve by simply opting out of the expert AI setting. Again, we don't actually have the ability to adjust it. It's also not as straightforward as selling a car you've discovered is uncompetitive in the current class you're grinding through and buying something that seems quicker because you can't sell cars. If you've just dropped a ton of credits on something that's not working out, it's back to the grind until you can amass enough to try again. It's set to be quite a grind too. Some of Solar Crown's hypercars are priced at over 10 million credits, whereas a typical win only nets you around 20 to 30 odd thousand.
And it's like, my thing is this, I just find it funny how it's like, these are things that I was saying before this video came out, and everybody was getting on me about it. Now it's like, you got where somebody popular like IGN, where they talking about it, and I guarantee, I promise you, the tone gonna change now. Oh yeah, stuff is a little overpriced, and yeah, the cars are a little bit difficult. And it's like, man, get out of here. Y'all wasn't saying that when the game came out.
There are no driving missions here like in the old TDU games. It's just basic racing repeated. As far as I'm concerned, if a game starts to feel like a job,
they do have the time trial races, and that's really the only time when it's like, you know, you're having fun when you're just by yourself. But when you're going up against the AIs, yeah, like the first few races, yeah, they have you win. But yeah, after that, once you like get, I guess, accepted into the Solar Crown, and then you're doing like just the regular races, then that's when it becomes a problem.
something is amiss with the pace of progression. At any rate, the only solution is to complete and lose races and wait until the automated difficulty decides to do you a favour and bump things down a notch to a place where the AI racers aren't capable of driving faster than the entire player base. This is a total waste of time, but it gets worse. After being stalled chasing the objective on one particular race, Solar Crown started slashing my payouts and XP for subsequent attempts. By the time I eventually completed the goal, the credits and XP had been cut to a pittance and were virtually worthless. Several days later, I noticed the payouts had returned to normal, but nothing about an apparent cooldown period on rewards is communicated to us in-game.
That's crazy. I haven't really been playing the game like that. I stopped now. I'm like, I'm gonna wait until they come out with an update to fix this game. That's crazy, though.
Strung along with comeback later mechanics like mobile gamers. Solar Crown just doesn't feel like it respects your time.
That's crazy.
At the other end of the spectrum, in wet weather conditions, off-road and on certain circuits, AI opponents can be counted on to be much weaker. The counterintuitive thing here, however, is that these instances of slow or boneheaded AI tended to arrive as moments of relief, especially in the wake of a race I'd lost by, say, not being the single fastest person on the planet. To clarify, the racing isn't unsatisfying because it's tough, it's unsatisfying because it's inconsistent, and it often feels like the AI is cheating.
Yeah.
There's nothing fun about sinking a huge amount of credits into a car to put it at the top of a performance window and having it totally unable to compete against opponents at the exact same level. It's even worse when cars with lower performance ratings are gapping you on straights. There are clearly strings being pulled to make this happen, and that's just cheap.
What I tell you?
Is it better against humans? I can't issue a verdict on that. While Special Edition Solar Crown buyers have been playing since last week, I'm not really encountering anybody. Only once have I started a race and been grouped with someone else apparently starting the same race a few seconds later.
Wow.
If anything, the racing was worse. The AI bots that filled the remaining 6 slots in this case seemed twitchier and heavier and drove like I wasn't there. But beyond that, nada. There are dedicated ranked races on the map.
You got games like, I think it is Gran Turismo. When you're racing, it's like cars, like if they detect that you're on the side of them, like they'll kind of like move over a little bit and stuff. And in my opinion, Gran Turismo, I'm like, that game is much more realistic feeling than Test Drive.
Don't appear to be attracting anyone yet. I've sat in the lobbies for those and have seen no one join me. While other racing games will pull interested players into quick races, Solar Crown seems like it's relying entirely on people just deciding to trigger the same race at the same time. Leveling up will eventually unlock new tyre compounds and preset driving modes that let us eke some more speed out of our cars, but There's so much contradictory information in these options, it's hard to know what will ultimately help. At level 30, I decided to purchase a Nissan GT-R and scanned the driving modes before my first event. Dynamic mode, which claims to boost acceleration, only lowered my acceleration stat. Sport mode, which Solar Crown reports will lower my acceleration, actually raised it. So what do I go with? What's gonna help? Well, it's slower than the rest of the field in either configuration, so who can say? It's a mess. The annoyances continue. The world is particularly handsome at night in the neon-bathed streets, but there are sections that suffer reproducible pop-in or objects cars can clip through.
Wow.
When on foot,
that's crazy.
button prompts disappear the instant you run too close to the door you want to open or person you want to speak to. You can't easily invert the camera, you have to manually remap the controls for forward and back on the stick. Locations I've already discovered and have unlocked fast travel to are becoming unavailable. I can no longer use them for fast travel, despite the roads around them clearly indicating I've been to them before, and Solar Crown ultimately knowing I've been there before because it won't re-reward XP for rediscovering them.
That's crazy.
Driving to places I've already unlocked is more wasted time, so it's a bug a game that's already filled with time-sucking, always-online caveats and non-adjustable difficulty settings definitely didn't need. On top of that, roads driven on during races don't actually count as driven on in your game, so you have to drive over them in free roam to add them to your tally. Is this intentional or just another bug? Hard to say, but either way, it's more double handling. It may sound by now that Solar Crown really gets nothing right, but that isn't true. Crucially, it boasts a predictable and approachable handling model that's easy to get to grips with. It's arguably a little understeery, and the drastic speed reduction from hitting roadside destructibles feels too heavy-handed for an arcade racer. But
it's something where they do need to fix the turning. It's either that or they need to lower the difficulty on the AI, one of the two. So it's like I can feel like I'm actually gonna win a race. My question is though, it's like, why would I spend $90 to lose races? I'm saying, like, I just, that's something where I'm like, I don't get that. I know I don't spend my money to be losing in no game. Yeah, if I'm playing online, I ain't got no control over that. That just means that there's somebody out there better than me. But it's like when you're playing against a computer, it's like, fam, most people that be playing against a computer, they want to win. They don't want to lose, all right? So anyways.
Really well, and is definitely a step up from the divisive feel of Test Drive Unlimited 2. There are also a lot of things I enjoy about Solar Crown's Hong Kong map. There's a good mix of variety in terms of road width, from extremely narrow one-way alleys and access ways to snaking hillside roads reminiscent of KT Racing's own WRC games to wide freeways and tunnels. There's a cool, eye-catching level of complexity to Solar Crown's on and off ramps, and I really love the look of the many underground polished concrete parking garages that lurk everywhere under the city, complete with working boom gates.
Yeah, they got like some detailing in the game. Like they have it where you can put on your emergency lights. I think Gran Turismo does the same thing. But yeah, you could roll down your windows, and I think there is like a sound it sounds different when it's like you roll it. Like you can actually hear like outside and stuff. And then when you roll the windows up, then it has like that like like the windows are up, like that sound. So it's like it does change the sound and stuff. But it's like there's some good details about the game, but it's like the core game, the racing, it's off.
Unfortunately, it lacks much in the way of atmosphere overall, and this version of Hong Kong certainly doesn't feel like a living city in the same way it does in the likes of Sleeping Dogs. Sure, it's an adjacent genre, and the driving physics in Sleeping Dogs are sloppier than a soup sandwich, but it stands up as a world. In Solar Crown, people are rare, and the futuristic augmented reality overlays are an eyesore. Virtual parking lane notifications are constant ugly screen clutter, and the giant identical AR lettering over key locations just makes everything feel the same. Of course, when you do enter dealerships with their enormous layouts and sparse arrangements of cars, it's evident they all look the same inside anyway. They look nothing like the convincing dealerships in TDU1 and TDU2. On top of that, traffic is light and doesn't ever seem very authentic. Too many of the NPC vehicles are just the same handful of cars from Solar Crown's drivable garage, so there's just no authentic variety. The car selection is a letdown, both compared to its current peers and the original Test Drive Unlimited
Very
game.
small.
In 2006's Test Drive Unlimited, for instance, a majority of the cars featured were current models released within a few years of its arrival. Classic cars still appeared, but the lineup felt fresh and cutting edge. Solar Crown doesn't have that same flavour. Only a tiny sliver of the cars here are even from this decade, so there's an unavoidable staleness.
They only
Japanese
have a
cars
Charger
have
in there.
always been
They got like, I think they have a Challenger, but they ain't got no Charger. Like, there's a lot of cars that they just missed out, and it's like you'll go into the American dealership, and they got like pretty much 8% of the cars that sit there is like Corvettes and stuff. Like, they just got the same car. I'm like, bro, have like a bigger selection of cars.
Significantly underrepresented in TDU, but if you were thinking the geographical proximity at play with Solar Crown might trigger an increase, it absolutely has not. We get a 2011 Nissan 370Z and a 2009 GTR. That's it. There are some details I do really like though, and there's been some impressively granular work done regarding car sound. The hiss of wet asphalt or the bark of your exhaust note changing tone and volume as you wind down the window during the rain or in a tunnel is particularly lovely stuff. The visual effects for rain and cabin views still aren't as good as the ones in the 10-year-old Drive Club, but I've been saying that about all racing games for a decade now.
That's a game I haven't really played in a while.
Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown is far and away the most ambitious driving game that developer KT Racing has ever put together, but it's plagued with problems. Forced online requirements that feel needlessly punitive towards solo players, inconsistent and non-adjustable AI difficulty levels, a stale car list, and chore-like progression all conspire to undermine an otherwise robust driving model and eye-catching open world. The former home of the WRC series has come out swinging with Solar Crown, but unfortunately the studio may have flown a little too close to the
anything
sun.
more, I'm like, y'all are being generous.
For more recent racing options, check out our reviews for Monster Jam Showdown and F1 24. For everything else, stay on IGN.
Yeah, Test Drive, it's a game where I'm like, y'all could have did better with that game. You know, it's just something where I'm like, I really wanted to like this game, but just where it's at right now, yeah, I don't really touch it. You know, it's like I've been playing other games besides that because I'm like, it's not fun. In my opinion, it's just not fun when you out here buying a racing game and you're expecting to win races, especially against the computer. You can't adjust the AIs. I tried changing the steering in the game to where it just turns better. That's not like, it don't really change nothing. And yeah, it's just, to me, then overpriced cars. No online or no offline mode. There's a lot wrong with this game, and it's just funny to me, all the stuff that I talked on that people were getting on me about, they talked about it on IGN too. So it's like other people feel the same way. But anyways, but yeah, with that being said, I will talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe. Oh yeah, make sure if you guys haven't, go subscribe to IGN for more videos like this. Like, subscribe to me too, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching, and peace.